Hello mamas, Laura here, and today we are chatting about preparing yourself for the postpartum period. Enjoy!
Hey mama, I'm sending you wonderful pregnancy vibes. It's time for you to guide you through. Let's take some time for you. It's Pregnancy with Physio Laura.
Hello mamas, and welcome back to the Pregnancy with Physio Laura podcast. Today we're kicking off with episode 3 in the Matrescence series, diving into some really practical and important ways that you can best prepare yourself for the postpartum transition. Now, this is episode 3 of a 5-part Matrescence series with the wonderful Nikki McCahon, our beautiful Matrescence educator. Make sure you go back and listen to the first 2 episodes if you haven't already, as we discuss exactly what matrescence is, the different physical, social, emotional, and biological changes that occur, plus the shift in identity that most women will experience after birth. In today's episode, Nikki discusses the best ways that we can prepare ourselves during pregnancy to cushion that transition into motherhood. So we chat about defining what self-care means for you specifically, asking for help and creating a village of support around you, and leaning into your feminine energy. There is so much important content coming up in this Matrescence series. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Pregnancy with Physio Laura podcast so that you don't miss out. In this Matrescence series, we'll be chatting about how we can help women honour and respect this transition period, why the current societal expectations around bouncing back after birth really need to change, managing the mental load of motherhood, and so much more. We also have a bonus 6th episode exclusively available to members inside the Pregnancy Posse, where Nikki answers member questions around managing stress and anxiety, adjusting to a change in relationship with your partner after birth, and how we can lean more into our feminine energy to help bring peace, calm, and balance into our motherhood journey. This entire podcast series and all our other podcast series, along with our exclusive member-only content, is all live right now inside the Pregnancy Posse. So if you'd love to access all the bonus content and listen to or watch this entire podcast series right now, rather than waiting for future episodes to come out, please go and check out the Pregnancy Posse. I have taken my years of experience helping pregnant and postnatal women as a women's health physiotherapist and turned it into an easy to understand online program. So when you join the Pregnancy Posse, I will guide you week by week throughout your pregnancy with safe weekly exercise workouts tailored to your exact week of pregnancy. I also do a weekly Q&A session where I answer every single question from my wonderful Posse members so that you can avoid that dreaded Google rabbit hole. And there is also a lovely community forum where Posse members all support each other, along with an extensive resources library which helps to educate you on all topics related to pregnancy, birth, and the postpartum period. Now, I would love to help you have a healthy, active, pain-free pregnancy. So just head over to thepregnancyposse.com to see what the Pregnancy Posse is all about and to trial it for 7 days. Now, let's get into episode 3 of our 5-part Matrescence series. You are going to love today's chat with Nikki as we discuss the best ways to help you prepare for life after birth. Enjoy. After going through all of this, your personal experience, plus you've done a lot of study and research into matrescence, what would your advice be for women who are pregnant right now, about to transition into motherhood for the first time? What tips do you have? What strategies do you have for women to really lean into this phase of life?
Yeah, well, like we just spoke about, I think just having the knowledge that matrescence is a process that we're going to be entering when we go through this transformation. And I think when you're pregnant, maybe just knowing that that's coming is enough. Like, you don't need to go into the depths of exactly what your identity might be like, or, you know, really kind of diving deep into it, because I think we're all going to be like, go through an initiation with this. We're all going to go through this process, and how that plays out for us is going to be unique to us. So there's a part that you can't prepare for, I guess, because we don't know how it's exactly going to kind of play out. But I think just having the awareness of matrescence is really important, and then being able to share that awareness with the people around you. So, being able to have a conversation with your partner if you have one, with your support person, with your sort of inner circle community about, hey, have you heard about matrescence? Here's a podcast episode, Physio Laura you can listen to. But just preparing them that, hey, I'm going to be going through this developmental process. I'm going through this transition and transformation. This is what it might feel like for me. And I really love your support as I go through this. I think just giving them a little bit of a heads up as well. And I think the language, that is really important, because without knowing what it is, what we tend to do is internalize it and think there's something wrong with us. What's wrong with me that my identity doesn't feel right anymore? What's wrong with me that I don't like my body right now, or that I'm having difficulty accepting the changes? So I think that's really important, because then we can start, instead of holding it all inside, we can start reaching out for support and know that it's not something wrong with us. It's that we need help to process this and to go through it. So I think that would be the biggest thing. Then from there, I think it's really about preparing your life for motherhood. So preparing your environment, the people around you, and yourself for going through this transition, and just acknowledging that a transition is going to be taking place. Because I don't know about you, but for me, I was so focused on the birth. I was like, the birth, I've got to focus on the birth and get the birth right. I've got to have the right pram. I've got to have the right cot. I've got to decorate the nursery. Zero thought to what would happen after any of that. I didn't think about, me and how I was going to change. I didn't think about what support I might need. I didn't think about, how I would want our life set up to kind of cushion that transition. So I think doing that is really, really important.
And I love the word cushion. I think that's a really nice way to be thinking about it. Because it is going to happen, but how can you cushion out areas of your life so it's a softer landing? Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to think about it. And then I think, there was, when we were chatting, one of the things we were talking about is preparing mentally for motherhood. I think that it's really important to take a holistic approach. So rather than just thinking mentally about what motherhood's going to be like, it's thinking about, how can I make sure I'm eating the right food during my postpartum period? How can I make sure I've got the right support? How can I reduce the amount of stuff I need to do around the house? All of those things, because they all have an impact on your mental well-being, if you know what I mean. It's good to think about just cushioning that sort of transition. And then in terms of processing your experience of matrescence, or working through that, I think I was mentioning to you, I've been working on a postpartum support plan, an online course. And one of the things one of the activities that are in there is starting to just think about who am I outside of my career, outside of what I look like. What are the things about me that I like, or that I know about me? And how can I start weaving in some things in my postpartum period that are going to help me feel more connected to myself? How can I make self-connection a priority? Because I think what often happens is that we have the baby, and obviously they're just so helpless and vulnerable that we are looking after them as we should be and as we want to, but also making some time that's practical and easy to achieve, that just carves out a little bit of time just to reconnect in with ourselves and to keep our connection to ourselves and the things that make us feel like us and that energize us and excite us there, even if it's not as much as it normally would be, even if it's just a little bit throughout the day, that's still for us. Because otherwise I think we can easily fall into this pattern of completely abandoning ourselves. Does that make sense?
100%. 100%. I was just nodding the entire time you were saying that, because I can see how women don't feel like they have time to do it, because it might feel hard. Because I was just thinking then when you were saying it, this might be a time when women actually don't know who they are or what lights them up, or because they've been so busy working 9 to 5, like having these busy lives pre-baby, that they don't actually know what they enjoy doing that feels true for them or that feels like it lights them up. And obviously it's going to be unique for everyone, but I'm curious to know if you're happy to share, what are some personal things that you use? This might give some women some inspiration for what might feel good for them. What do you do for self-connection, 5 minutes here and there throughout the day?
Yeah, journaling is like one of the biggest things for me, and one that I recommend for pretty much everyone. Not everyone loves journaling, but I really enjoy it, and it doesn't need to be like a formal process. It can just be like, I feel sad, I feel angry, this is why, and this situation happened, and now I feel like this. And it could be something as simple as that, and you can just get it out of your mind onto a piece of paper, and you can kind of look at it objectively. There's something therapeutic as well about like writing our feelings down. And it also means that we can then have a bit of distance from it, so we can start looking at it, and maybe then start thinking about, are there some patterns here? Are there some things that are contributing to it? So I think journaling is a really great one. Spending time outside in nature, I think, is really important and totally like underrated. Like 15 minutes in the sun, like by yourself with a cup of tea, is really important.
And you also have like the most amazing veggie patch to go and sit outside. And I'm so jealous of how good your green thumb is.
Oh yeah, thank you. I think one of the big things as well, like with self-care, I think it's really important to kind of talk about this, because self-care is like a massive industry now, and it's all like, bath bombs and candles and buy this and buy that, and then you'll be like taking care of yourself. The most effective, I think, form of self-care that I have found for me personally, and this is after, again, trial by fire here for me, like I got it wrong for so long. I would like not look after myself, and then I would go and I'd like reach the point where I'd say to my husband, I need some time alone. And I would go and get like my nails done, or like have like an afternoon to myself or whatever, and then I would totally neglect myself again for another month, until I would reach that sort of tipping point again of being like, I need some time, I haven't done anything for myself. I found it's like way more effective to do little micro acts of self-care, or like as often as you can, regularly throughout the day. So don't let it just be something that you do once and then you just completely neglect yourself. So for me, I have a question that I ask myself like multiple times during the day, and I honor the answer in the same way I would honor it if my child gave me this answer. So I say, what do I need right now? And it might be, I need to go and sit in the sun and have a cup of tea. I need to call my friend. I need to ask for some help. And whatever the answer is that comes up, I think it's really important just to, as we said, acknowledge it in the same way you would if someone told you that they needed something. Like your kid said, I need some time alone. And doing that, it might take 10 minutes a few times a day, but you're constantly saying, I matter too, my needs matter too, instead of just constantly pushing your needs to the side for other people. And then you start to like feel resentful, and you start to like feel like you're not getting any time to yourself, or it just kind of like, I think of it as like a soft drink bottle. You just like shake it up, and then all of a sudden at the end it like explodes everywhere. This is like just kind of like opening the lid little bit by little bit, so it doesn't kind of explode.
And I think prevention is always better than the cure. So it is always better to build in those micro moments rather than, like you said, getting to a tipping point and trying to really have to recover back from there. And I think it makes more sense to the people around you rather than just exploding every month or so, but just to feel like you're worthy enough of having those micro moments. And do you think a lot of the struggle with women asking for time or acknowledging that they they need help or all of that do you think it comes back to worth and feeling worthy of asking for it?
Yeah, 100%. I think it definitely comes back to worth. And I think there's also an element of, as particularly as like a new mum, you can be in this stage of trying to prove yourself, like, I've got this, I don't need any help. I'm the mum, I know how to do it. So you can feel like by asking for help, you're somehow saying that you can't do it. And we can be, again, the brain changes everything. We're hypersensitive to what other people are thinking and feeling. Maybe we're scared to say, I need some help, because we think it means that we can't do it, or we don't want it. They'll think that we can't do it, or that we don't want to do it. And the really important thing, I think, to remember is that motherhood and parenting are not meant to be done by one person. Like, that's impossible, and it's not even in the best interest of the child, really. They need to have lots of loving relationships with caregivers who are, responsive and nurturing to their needs, not one who's just so, like, busy and overwhelmed that she's not taking care of herself. It's not, and I think thinking about it like that sometimes it's easier for women to give themselves permission, again, because they're saying, oh, it's in the best interest of my child. Yes. It can be harder for us to just say it's in the best interest of me too, that I'm taking care of myself, because no one wants to have a mum not that no one wants to have a mum, but we don't want to get to the point where we're sick and we're emotionally not coping. Our relationships are starting to crumble, or we're feeling so alone or isolated in our experience that things really do reach like a tipping point. So asking for help and allowing ourselves to receive help, which is the big part, is really, really important.
And I think this is a really deeper issue, which was probably like 5 hours of another podcast to delve into. But I think a lot of that, and we spoke about this before, is about how a lot of women are in their masculine energy a lot these days. So it's like, I can do it. I'm independent. I don't need any help. I've got this. Go, 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 go. To-do list, productive, successful, all of that. And motherhood is such a feminine process, which asks you to be compassionate, to surrender, to ask for help, to be soft, to be vulnerable. And I think that's really difficult for a lot of women. I'm speaking for myself, but I know that was really tricky for me. I've always had that, like, I've got this, I don't need any help, like, I'm a Wonder Woman, I've got it all. And I actually found, and this is something I'm conscious of now, a lot of women would give me the feedback of, I don't know how you do it all. Run a business, have young kids, do it all. And I used to really pride myself on, oh yeah, I'm doing it all. I'm juggling all these things. I've got the business, I've got the kids. And I'm only just very recently going, I don't need to pride myself on how much I get done every day or how good I am at juggling all the things. And I'm trying to take a softer approach to all of that, but I'm also mega conscious of praising women on that too, because I think I used to be guilty of saying, whoa, you're a super mom. Look at you. You've got 3 kids under 4 and you've got a business and you're making cupcakes for Kinder and you're doing all of this. And I think I'm more aware of like seeing through that sometimes and being like, do you need help, or are you coping well with all of this? And is there anything I can do to help you? Because I do think that when we praise that becomes the thing we hold up on a pedestal. And I do think that society still holds the juggling mum, the woman with the career and the kids and all of that up on a pedestal. I still think that in the hierarchy of what we value, that's above the woman that's saying, I need help, or I need time away. And again, I think this is a really deep thing that we could go into, but I think it's that time where we need to kind of drop a bit of that masculine and step into that feminine. And I think that's really tricky for a lot of women.
Hey mamas, Laura here. Do you now feel 100 million times more prepared for life after birth? Because I know I do.
As Nikki says in this episode, so many of us focus on the birth that we forget about the afterwards. And this is the transition that often rocks women the most. So I really hope today's episode helped give you some food for thought on the ways in which you might help to establish good postpartum support and care after birth. Personally, I am organising a meal train from my friends after birth, and I've told my husband to expect nothing more from me in the first 2 weeks other than to look after our baby. So I am officially off toddler duty and household chores, unless of course I choose to join in. If you'd like to learn more from Nikki, you can check out her amazing resources over on Instagram at Dear Mama Project. And I'd also love to hear from you over on my socials at PhysioLaura, and let me know your plans for your postpartum support. I would love to hear them. Now, in the next few episodes of this Matrescence series, we will be chatting about why the current societal expectations around mums bouncing back is completely toxic and needs to change, and managing the mental load of motherhood. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Pregnancy with PhysioLaura podcast so that you don't miss our upcoming episodes in this wonderful series. And if you love today's episode and you want to dive right into the next 2 episodes in this Matrescence series straight away, you can find this entire series along with all our other podcast series right now inside the Pregnancy Posse. So for most series of the podcast, we also record exclusive bonus content for Pregnancy Posse members. And in the bonus member-only episode for this Matrescence series, Nikki talks us through managing stress and anxiety, adjusting to a new relationship with your partner after birth, and the ways that we can step more into our feminine energy easily after birth. Inside the Pregnancy Posse, you'll also find weekly guided pregnancy workouts, and extensive resources library on birth preparation, pelvic floor exercises, and managing pregnancy aches and pains, plus a wonderful community forum and weekly Q&A sessions with myself. I would love to help you have a wonderful pregnancy, birth, and postnatal experience. So just visit thepregnancyposse.com to see what the Pregnancy Posse is all about. I will catch you soon for episode 4 in this 5-part Matrescence series, where we'll be chatting about the current societal expectations around mothers bouncing back after birth and why we really need to shift this culture. Until then, mamas, sending you wonderful pregnancy vibes, and enjoy the incredible journey that is pregnancy.